It's on the yes. Just want to make sure you get one aware. No, that's fine. I just take after.
Are we on? Everything's changed. Will you tell me? Will you tell me when to begin?
Things you should know. On Friday, July 3rd, from 2 to 4 p.m., we have an Independence Day celebration. Join us for a barbecue, games, and more on the Sanctuary Lanai, right out there, and all are welcome. Rich Canarelli has a few important words for us. Come on up, Rich.
Good morning. Good morning. Buongiorno. See, where's my wife? My wife doesn't want me to say that. Yes, my name is Richard Canarelli, for those of you who don't know me. I am in charge of Sunday security. Steve Leapley, our former president, has graciously given up every Sunday to sit out on the lanai and just keep an eye out in case anything looks suspicious. We've never had any problems. We don't expect it, but it is always, given the fact that we are a liberal congregation, it's always wise to be a little bit vigilant. Both Steve and I are leaving for the summer, and we need people to fill in. If people are willing to give up 45 minutes, an hour, sit on the lanai, listen to the sermon, listen to the service, and just keep an eye out for anything that looks suspicious, it would be greatly appreciated. There is a sign-up sheet out there with the dates that are available. You can put your name, and if you can, put a telephone number, the dates you're available. You do not need an Uzi or an AR-15 or anything like that, or karate. All we need is just somebody to stand out there and make sure that nothing is going on that we should be aware of. Appreciate whatever you can do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rich. Another notice is that Mat Makers has been canceled for the month of July. Sorry to say. Check the back of your bulletin for this week's church schedule. And as always, please silence all electronics as we enter into sacred space, and remember that this service is being live streamed. We light our flame today with the words of the Reverend Dr. Orlando Bunyola. Flame, friend of our most ancient ancestors, we kindle you now in this time. Yet in truth, you burn always, in the unique worth of each person, in the imagination, in the turning of the heart to sorrow or joy, in the call to hope, and in the call to justice. Burn bright before us. Burn bright within us. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to UCOV, the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Venice. Our congregation strives to be a welcoming community where all who seek to join may find a network of caring hearts, minds, and hands. Here at UCOV, we believe that it is the work we do and the impact we have on the world that is the true measure of virtue. May those who feel the call to leave the world a better place always find a home here. We want to give a special welcome to those joining us online. Your presence is felt wherever and whenever you are joining us. May our time together be a time of joy.
Howdy.
Howdy.
As Eileen alluded to, our service today is about virtue. Now, the idea for this service arose out of a sermon cycle I did earlier this year with my intern supervisor, the Reverend Dr. Lucas Hergert, centered around the 7 deadly sins. Lucas has a fun sense of humor like that. Now, as the intern, I didn't get to do all the fun ones, but I did have quite a bit of fun on the sin of sloth. See, I enjoy digging into the broader Christian mythology as there's a lot to learn there about the evolution of religion and the ways that both society morphs to meet it and that it morphs to meet society. Some of my favorite classes in seminary were on ancient religion and the 1,000 different facets that they can splinter into as they spread across the world. The 7 deadly sins, in particular, have become a cultural trope. I'm sure many of you can recite them from memory, and they've been used in countless stories and media analyses ranging from Metropolis to Spongebob. But a less often talked about counterpart of them are the 7 heavenly virtues, sort of like a little yin-yang thing they've got going on. Thus, we arrive today talking about virtue. Sloth and its counterpart, diligence, are a surprisingly apt topic for today's world. The truth of that can be found in some unlikely places, as we'll talk about later. But for now, let us join our spirits together in the shared act of being, even as it happens in the littlest of ways. Welcome to this time. Welcome to this place. Welcome to this community.
Everything must change. Nothing stays the same. Everyone will change. Nothing and no one goes unchanged. The young become the old, and mysteries to unfold. 'Cause that's the way of time. Nothing and no one goes unchanged. There are not many things in life you can be sure of, except rain comes from the clouds, sun lights up the sky, and hummingbirds do fly. Winter turns to spring. A wounded heart will heal, but never much too soon. Yes, nothing goes unchanged. The young become the old, and mysteries to unfold. 'Cause that's the way of time. No, nothing and no one goes unchanged. There may be many things in life you can't be sure of, except rain comes from the clouds, sun lights up the sky, and music makes me cry.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Please now rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing our opening hymn, number 347, Gather the Spirit.
This is the time in our service when we do our offering, and as always, we like to do it with a little bit of a joke because we think that giving should be fun. So, a young minister joins their congregation in helping out at a local grocery store while its owner is on bed rest following some pretty intense surgery. Minister ends up as a bagger for people checking out and finds some enjoyment in having conversation and making small talk with all of the customers. One day, the store gets a new juicer and starts offering fresh squeezed juice from all of their produce. Now, the minister is a bit of a gearhead and loves tinkering with and learning about different kinds of machines, so they go to the coordinator and they ask if they can switch roles. "Sorry," said the coordinator, "baggers can't be juicers." Today's offering will now be graciously given and gratefully received. Thank you so much for the gifts you have given and continue to give and the skills you bring to this community. As a community of human hands and human hearts, we come together here as we struggle with life's sorrows and celebrate its joys. If you have something to share, please raise your hand and someone will come bring you a microphone.
Yesterday, there was a showing of the movie Bad Faith that was organized by Anna. And I can't let this time go by without thanking Anna for doing a great job running the Social Justice Committee. About 45 people came for a Saturday afternoon. There was a great discussion afterwards, but the success of that is completely because of Anna's hard work. Join me in thanking her.
Thank you, Anna.
I'm Serena. I was at Moffitt last Tuesday, and I know that Roxy is there, and she's in a clinical trial. So I talked to her and told her I would try to find where she was and see her. It was a little difficult to find her because she's on the other side of the building that I have to go to. Nevertheless, I did call her on her phone, and she did call me back. And the good news is that she has family with her every week for the next 4 or 5 weeks that she will be there. And the pharmaceutical company that is providing this drug is really footing the bill for everything, so she doesn't really have to pay. That is not untypical in clinical trials. Nevertheless, she was all set to begin. She had come, as she told me, that morning at 7:45, which is why they couldn't find her when I was looking for her. But she couldn't start because apparently she has some cardiac issues going on. So it's going to be delayed, she said, she wasn't sure how long. And that was upsetting to her, of course. But the good news is that she has every week someone from her family coming and staying with her in the apartment that Moffitt has for families who are going through this. And they have wonderful benefits. So if you have an opportunity to call her, send her a card, that would be nice.
Hi, my name's Barb Gundy. I'd like to thank the congregation for all the cards and sympathies that you've extended on the passing of my brother. We were at the funeral yesterday, and it was with great sorrow, but also great joy. I got to see all my immediate family, including my 5 nieces and nephews and my 11 great-nieces and nephews. So that was the nice part of it.
Okay, good morning. My name is Mary Ursig, and I had been a member of this congregation. However, in June of 22, I decided to move to Arlington, Virginia, to be closer to family up there. My husband had passed away in 2019. I had been there. I was in Arlington for 4 years, and after much thought and research over to the last 2 years, I decided I'm coming back. So watch out. And got here Thursday. I'm staying with a friend. I'm closing on a house tomorrow in Brightmoor in Welland Park. And that's it. 55 plus community, and I'm only 27, so it's contradiction. But in any case, I walk in, Eileen Leapley comes up to me, and she knows who I am. Beverly comes up to me. Joel, they know who I am. I recognize the faces. I need ID tags. It is wonderful. Serena, Richard, all of you, I'm looking around and I see faces that I recognize. You have no idea what a wonderful feeling that is. Okay? You got it. Thank you.
I'm David. I recently underwent a cardiac procedure at the Blake Hospital in Bradenton, and it went extremely well. And I'm just so thankful to the doctors and staff and the outpouring from the congregation. That's probably the most healing part of it. And thank you so much.
My name is Marilyn Amick, and I'm very happy today because I want to tell you that the memorial book is now online.
Hey!
It's on the web page, the title page. There's a big picture of the cover of it, and I'm so happy that now people will be able to go to the website and see the pages of their loved ones, no matter where they are. If you have friends or relatives in other places, they'll be able to look at it. So I'm just so thankful to Eileen and Tom Reeves and all the people that worked on it. And we're still working because there's a few little glitches here and there, but give us a little bit more time and it'll all be perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Anna, the chair of the Social Justice Committee, and I'm grateful that people showed up for the film, Bad Faith. It was a frightening film, but the discussion afterwards was very, very rewarding. We'll have 2 more films coming up, the last Saturday of July and August. And also this Wednesday, we're having the Justice Social at Hotel Venetia. Pizza, wine, beer, lots of discussion on how we can protect the vote this fall and how we can get people out to vote. We're also doing postcard writing all through the summer until Election Day. So that would be after service every Sunday, and I do need help with that. So come to me afterwards and we can talk about how we can work together. So there's a sign-up sheet in the back. So if you're interested in writing postcards for the Sunday, July 5th after service, sign up, please. Thank you so much.
I know we've all been missing our beautiful, beloved friend, Jean Barlow, who hasn't been here in several weeks. She's in the Venice-Sarasota Memorial Hospital. She allowed me to tell you that she broke her hip, and I know this woman has been going through so much. So she would really, I know she would appreciate cards, texts, and if you talk to her ahead of time, maybe even a visit, she will probably be there for a couple of weeks and then maybe in rehab. So please keep her in your loving thoughts.
And if I may indulge myself for one final celebration, this past week I've had the joy of getting to watch several of my graduating class become ordained ministers at their own congregations. A small treasure for me. May the love of this community hold all who need love and concern. May the light of this community shine on the broken places of the world. May those who are grieving be comforted. May those who are tired find rest. May the broken places be healed. And may those who are filled with joy and laughter be ever abundant. Peace, and may it be so.
Our first reading today comes from the poem Psychomachia by Aurelius Clemens Prudentius. Long enough has deep forgetfulness, as we lay curled up, pressed heavily on our sense and buried it while it wandered in baseless dreams. Surely false and worthless are the things we have done because of worldly glory, as though we did them in sleep. Let us awake. Reality is here. Gold, pleasure, joy, riches, honor, success, all the evil things that puff us up. Comes morning, all are naught. Here ends the first reading. I invite you now into a time of meditation, reflection, or the spirit of prayer with the words of Nelson Mandela from Long Walk to Freedom. I have walked that long road to freedom. I have tried not to falter. I have made missteps along the way. But I have discovered the secret that after climbing a great hill, one only finds that there are many more hills to climb. I have taken a moment here to rest, to steal a view of the glorious vista that surrounds me, to look back on the distance I have come. But I can only rest for a moment, for with freedom comes responsibilities, and I dare not linger, for my long walk is not ended.
There was a boy, a very strange, enchanted boy. They say he wandered very far, over land and sea. A little shy and sad of eye, but very wise was he. And then one day, one magic day, he came my way, and always was while we talked of many things, fools and kings. This he said to me: the greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return. The greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return.
Our second reading today comes from the Reverend Forest Church. Each of us, of course, must assume the responsibility for awakening. Others may be responsible for us being born, but what we make of our lives, how deeply and intensively we live, is our responsibility and ours alone. Having accepted life as a gift for ourselves, we are then charged to revere the presence of this same gift in others. Here ends the second reading. Please rise in body or spirit and join in singing our centering hymn, number 128, For All That Is Our Life.
So I've told a few of you a little bit about my intern supervisor, the Reverend Dr. Lucas Hergert. He was an absolutely spectacular man to learn from, most in particular because he has his doctorate in homiletics, the study and theory behind sermons. And so, of course, for a young up-and-coming minister, he was very, very good to learn from. In some of our conversations, particularly around theology, we touched on the notion of sin. In particular, I told him that I really vibrate with the universalist side of our history. This idea that no one could be truly ever fully excluded from the circle of love. But something that he pushed back on with regards to the notion of sin is that facing the modern world, it is very easy to think of people whose hearts and souls have fallen into what we would call hell. But rather than this being based on any sort of theological doctrine, what he found was that those people most wrapped in sin are the ones servicing the oppressors. Lucas spent a lot of time down in Broadview near Chicago as part of the ongoing protests against ICE, as well as making his way up to the Twin Cities in Minnesota. And what he came back feeling was that that is true sin. Being part of a group seeking to oppress, seeking to hurt, seeking to inflict cruelty on others, that is the only thing that could truly drive your heart away from the circle of love. Now, Lucas also has a background in liberation theology, a sect of Christianity that comes out of South America that posits that divinity is always on the side of the oppressed, never the oppressor. And so he landed on this idea of the 7 deadly sins, wanting to dive into this notion of sin, what could truly drive us away from the circle of love. And of course, wrapping it into a fun little experiment because I mentioned that I wanted to practice sermon cycles. Now, as the intern, I didn't get to do all the fun ones. Lucas instantly called dibs on wrath and lust, and I was like, okay, fine. And we'll talk about pride a little bit more next week, but one of the ones that I ended up working on was the sin of sloth. Just a bit ago. Now, Prudentius was not the first author to attempt to categorize sin, or even to list 7 specific noteworthy sins, But he was possibly the first to equate each of those sins to a corresponding virtue and put them at odds. Prudentius's poem, the Psychomachia, depicts a series of battles between each vice and virtue, of course, with the virtue emerging victorious. This metaphor of Christian morality as a battle, an armed conflict between sin and virtue, would stick with the 7 deadly sins as they would further develop and eventually be codified by Pope Gregory I 200 years later. Now, let's talk about sloth specifically. The sin that we would come to recognize as sloth would still take a little bit of time after Prudentius to come into focus. Part of that blurriness stems from the fact that Gregory I actually combined a couple former sins into sloth. Acedia, a severe lack of interest or caring, and tristitia, an overwhelming sadness. St. Thomas Aquinas would later describe it as a sorrow about spiritual good. Our word for it, sloth, comes from Old and Middle English and is essentially a transformation of the word sloweth, like Shakespeare telling you to step on the brakes. But while modern ears may equate it to laziness, the capital S sin of sloth is more about this profound loss of passion, such that even the good of the world can't capture our attention. Nothing matters. Et omnia vanitas. It is all vapor. Now, the counter to this listlessness is the virtue of diligence, instilling in ourselves habit and practice so that those habits and practices become the default way that we approach the world, no matter how small the occasion or low the stakes seem. Even when it doesn't feel like much, slow and steady wins the race. To embody this, there's this delightful thought experiment that's made its way around the internet called the shopping cart theory. And I think that this can serve as a very fun model for understanding diligence. It goes like this, and I'm paraphrasing slightly. The shopping cart is the ultimate litmus test for self-discipline. Returning the shopping cart is an easy task, and one which we all recognize as correct and the appropriate thing to do. Returning the shopping cart is objectively right. There are no situations other than emergencies, illnesses, or disabilities in which a person is not able to return their cart. Simultaneously, it's not illegal to abandon your shopping cart. You won't be banned from the store if you do it. No one's going to come and hunt you down. And therefore, the shopping cart presents itself as the apex example of whether a person will do what is right without being forced to do it. No one will punish you for returning the shopping cart. You gain nothing by returning the shopping cart. Still, you return the shopping cart out of common courtesy. You return the shopping cart because it is the right thing to do. Now, this metaphor is a little rough around the edges and a little too focused on being witty rather than truthful, which is why we don't base our philosophical worldviews on things we read off of reddit.com, but I still love it. I think it adds a bit of levity to ethics and morality that can be sorely lacking at times. And we can split hairs on whether diligence or integrity is the more appropriate term here, but I'd rather save that conversation for when we can talk about it more fully later. Returning the shopping cart is this seemingly insignificant act, at least as it pertains to the subject. Again, there are no consequences for your actions if you don't return it. But where I think many of you might already be going in your minds is that there are consequences for not returning the cart. It's just that someone else suffers them. The person at the store who pushes all the carts inside is still going to have to go over and get it, And in the meantime, it's still going to be in everyone else's way. But when we don't care, when it doesn't matter, we don't consider the ways that our actions affect the world around us. Sure, when it's just a shopping cart in a parking lot, the consequences are low. But when we scale that same mindset up to what we do with a global population's worth of waste, we get islands of trash floating in the ocean. When we think of people as expendable, like they don't matter, we get systems like slavery and modern-day fascism. Diligence says the way you make sure it never happens at that scale is by being the kind of person who returns the cart. We cultivate the skill sets we need to put out the big fires by being conscious of the little ones. And when we start labeling things as unimportant, we leave ourselves over to catastrophe. A bit of a tangent. Is everyone here familiar with the story of the tortoise and the hare? For anyone who isn't, a very brief recap. All of the animals of the forest gather together, deciding we want to find out which one of us is the fastest. Finally, it ends up being a one-on-one race between the hare and the tortoise. Now, naturally, at the starting pistol, the hare is off and running and gets a good mile-long lead before even looking back. Sees that the tortoise is nowhere in sight and decides, you know what, I'll take a nap. Of course, while the hare is sleeping, the tortoise finishes the race, and thus we get the common phrase, slow and steady wins the race. Now, I always thought that story was a little bit weird, right? In the middle of a race, the hare is just going to pull off and snooze for a bit. It's a lack of diligence that borders on comical, almost. But it puts a delightful little ironic bow on the whole fable. You know, the fast creature is slovenly and the slow creature is diligent. Slow and steady wins the race. And I think this part of diligence is very prescient for the modern world in terms of understanding the timeline of progress. As more and more of our future becomes uncertain, we're faced with more and more challenges that require us to think and work in the long term. Goals like eliminating inequality, fighting the tides of fascism, feeding the hungry, ending wars, these are goals that will take some time, painful as that may be to admit. We are still fighting some of these battles decades and centuries after enormous milestones of progress. The race is long, and at times we are a very slow tortoise. So every little bit matters right now. I find it ironically easier to think like that in times of conflict than in times of calm. When I'm scared and pulled into my communities to weather the storm, it is easy to cherish every single inch towards the finish line and to anticipate the next so much that I take that step myself. It is when I am the hare, however, that I find myself pausing to nap, letting that diligence waver, thinking, it doesn't matter if I stop for just a bit, I just got so far ahead. In times of strife, diligence keeps us from falling behind, and that can be the only thing keeping us alive. In times of flourishing, however, diligence is what keeps us from losing the ground we've gained, even when it would be easier to let that boulder roll downhill. Now, I mentioned that sloth came last in this sermon cycle, and I found that it was fairly fitting because I think this view of diligence also applies to other notions of sin and virtue. To avoid the destructive qualities of things like greed and wrath, it is not enough to make a single large donation to a random charitable organization or to avoid large public displays of anger. You have to be charitable and patient in the little moments, when it feels like it doesn't matter. Diligence is donating a book a month to the little free library, and it's sitting and listening to someone else during coffee hour. Diligence is giving up the last slice of cake, and it's honoring a boundary that someone else set. Diligence is greeting new faces at the door, and it's cherishing their presence in the community. Diligence is the virtue that ties it all together, not by prescribing behavior, but by demanding that we actually try to live up to our virtues and our values. My spiritual companions, I give you these words again. Long enough has deep forgetfulness, as we lay curled up, pressed heavily on our sense, and buried it while wandered in baseless dreams. Let us awake. Reality is here. Let us awake from this nightmare world where anything, anyone, anywhere can not matter, and embrace the reality we encounter bit by bit in little and big moments alike. Everything we do contributes to the way that we live our lives, the goals we strive for, the ways we strive for them, and just how important we think they are. And right now, we can't afford to treat anything like it's not important. I invite you now to rise in body and spirit and join in singing our closing hymn, Just as Long as I Have Breath. I leave you now with the words of the poet Nancy Wood. Hold on to what is good, even if it is a handful of earth. Hold on to what you must do, even if it is a long, long way from here. Hold on to what you believe, even if it is a tree that stands alone. And hold on to my hand, even after I have gone away from you. Peace. And may it be so.